Saturday, June 6, 2026, I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. 5 tropical waves out there. Some of them are going to bring a significant flood threat, and we'll watch out for some development as some of this moisture eventually lifts up toward the Gulf later this week, plus lots of action over here. Here's one tropical wave right near Jamaica. We have another one that passed by the eastern Caribbean, but there's a bigger one that is sitting right there near Guyana and Suriname. That'll edge its way toward Trinidad and Tobago the next couple of days. Then we're watching all of this moisture. 2 systems could form on the eastern Pacific side, so I want to cover that. And Amanda's still out there, but this moisture will eventually swing up toward the Gulf, so we'll be watching that. And some of that rain, especially back toward the central and southern Bahamas this morning. But here are the 5 tropical waves. I mentioned these 3 right here. There are 2 more out there, and you can see more of an active pattern, one off the coast of Africa and one just before that. So lots of activity to track. These, I'm not seeing significant signs of development on this channel. We keep it in perspective. I just let you know what I'm seeing, where things will go and where they won't go. And I appreciate the thousands of new subscribers being part of this hurricane channel as we get into the hurricane season. I appreciate you sharing this with others, dropping it in chats and that sort of thing. So this community is awesome. All right, let's start with Amanda because that's the name system out there. That's on the Pacific side, right? Arthur will be the first name on the Atlantic side, but this not a bother, not coming to Hawaii, but this is a problem. Right here, here's the coast of Mexico. We get back toward Guatemala. We're going to see a high chance that this spins up just over the next couple of days into a tropical depression and then potentially into a tropical storm. But either way, regardless of this area gets a name, this big blob of rain is just going to curve toward generally Acapulco, swing back towards Zihuatanejo, and with it a lot of heavy rain, flooding rain. The southern coast of Mexico, if you're nearby, if you have interest there, friends, family there, please share this information. Let them know significant rain, even some life-threatening rain will be on the way. This area will strengthen a little bit. This is a day out, 2 days out, should become a tropical storm. We'll see. But either way, regardless of the naming and the classification of this, high concern southern coast of Mexico with that area with flooding. And then we swing over toward Guatemala and El Salvador. Here's Nicaragua. This area feeding in some moisture. And once again, like the system back behind it, a higher probability it does develop. The rain threat could be life-threatening in some spots. So this area will do a similar thing, move closer toward El Salvador, closer to Nicaragua, and then kind of even Honduras, and then kind of swing back right through here near Guatemala and the southern coast of Mexico. Torrential rain for days and days will be a possibility. So I'll zoom back to that area. We'll track that. I'll show you those systems in this video. Then we're watching these tropical waves moving through the Caribbean. We have that one near Jamaica now. We'll zoom down with some of the rain. We'll go over the rain totals, but then that moisture feeds into the Gulf. In this model here, this is a version of the European model showing a slightly higher chance of some development, about a 60% chance deeper into next week that something may try to spin in the Gulf. So I'll put out some additional updates to that. Of course, if you're subscribed, you'll get those notifications if I put out kind of some different updates through midday, through the afternoon as I get some new information. Now, we also have some of the dust around in between the tropical waves. Heads up, Eastern Caribbean, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, St. Lucia, Barbados. Extra dust around for today. And then we'll see that feeding toward the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico for tomorrow. So if you happen to be sick or if you have some breathing issues, it could be a little bit worse the next few days. Did want to give you that information as well. I know a lot going on, but of high concern if you have any breathing issues. We've got some dust moving in. So here's one tropical wave. Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the high potential of flooding. Flooding is now going to be a concern for us in Jamaica. We've been dealing with the dry weather, starting to get a few showers late yesterday, watching that flood threat as well in Cuba. There's the new tropical wave, Guyana and Suriname, headed toward Trinidad and Tobago, and all of this moisture back toward the eastern Pacific. I'll zoom back here in just a second. I know I'm blocking this, but I'm going to zoom back to different areas and even lift up to the north in just a moment. We'll see those scattered showers move in with that next tropical wave, southeastern Caribbean, Grenada, all the way back through Suriname. Still watching the southern Bahamas rain, Cuba, near Jamaica, over toward Haiti and the DR, ABC Islands, rain chance goes up, Venezuela, Colombia staying active, and all of this moisture back through here. Yucatan Peninsula and Belize, not as much. Once again, we're kind of in between things. Then on Monday, you see this big blob of rain sitting here the DR, Haiti, near the Turks and Caicos, and again Jamaica keeping it active. Some of that rain coming out of Venezuela near Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, and then this moisture will kind of lift up to the north. Look at us in Jamaica from Monday into Tuesday, more rain. It's not going to be all day stuff, right? But we're going to get the next several days rounds of rain that could lend itself to some of the flooding, and then eventually by midweek, this is the area that's going to lift to the north, and we'll watch to see if it does develop some by the Cayman Islands. We're going to see that better chance of rain, especially early in the week. This may kind of lift up toward Florida or just wiggle its way back toward the central Gulf. Either way, that's the pocket deeper into next week. We'll see if it does kind of try to spin and feed off of the warm water temperatures. Let me lift to the north now, and then we'll swing back toward the eastern Pacific. Bermuda, that front is cleared by, but the Bahamas near the Turks and Caicos, some of that rain. There's a front here, plus the tropical wave kind of combining. Jamaica, Haiti, the DR, Cuba for some of the rain. And then we have that moisture feed, southeast U.S., East Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama in particular, Florida, and the northern Bahamas. We're sitting in between. We've actually had some pleasant weather around, kind of in between these big batches of rain. This here is on Monday. See Georgia getting some of that rain right through here, and this is the old front plus that tropical wave and that deep tropical moisture that will eventually either lift up toward Florida and the Florida Keys or back toward the central Gulf. It's not a high likelihood it does develop, but there is a chance that it could try to spin once it gets into the Gulf as we work our way into the middle and end of next week, and I'll be watching that for you. Now we swing here with the development. Again, Amanda out here falling apart, not a problem. It's these two areas. Here's Acapulco. Get toward Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa, Honduras, Nicaragua, these areas of high concern. And again, I can't stress enough, regardless of development, the huge issue will be the flooding, just all of it, especially with two areas, two spins here, just feeding in the deep tropical moisture. Costa Rica, Panama, same thing, intense flooding. We're not going to see necessarily a named system working in Costa Rica and Panama, but you see on the backside of that really heavier rain. This is Monday's. They want to nail back through Acapulco. That could be a landfalling tropical storm, but again, regardless, the rain, the life-threatening flooding, the issue. And then behind it, we have this new area doing a similar thing. Sometimes you get copycat patterns. This system will kind of work in. Puerto Vallarta will see some of that heavier rain, but then we draw our attention to this by Tuesday. This area could be even stronger. Some of the models are hinting that if that stays off the coast of El Salvador longer, that it could develop into a strong tropical storm, even a low-end hurricane, and then lift its way up toward the north. But Guatemala, El Salvador, still more of that rain as we work our way forward. And then this second area may work its way back toward Acapulco. Meanwhile, the middle of the week, you see near Cuba and the Cayman Islands, that's the spot that's going to be lifting up to the north that we'll also be watching out for some of that tropical development as we work our way forward. Now let's swing to the north and cover some heavier weather. Again, if any hurricane tropical storm comes near, say, Cape Cod, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, we will track it back through the Outer Banks, but a lot of rain working through New England, parts of New England, and the Atlantic region of Canada over the next couple of days. There's that moisture that's kind of feeding in here that we covered earlier. Still some storms back toward Mexico City into the north, not as much over toward the Baja. And then you see Newfoundland by Monday, some of that rain. There's that rain, Georgia, back toward Alabama. And there's some of that moisture that is really south of Bermuda. And then we'll watch this deep tropical moisture lifting to the north as the week goes on. Watching the seas the next couple of days. This is a loop. This is tomorrow. And then this here is on Monday. Not bad. Of course, the seas are really going to be very dangerous. Eastern Pacific side, especially with that development, these two areas out there. Elsewhere, Atlantic passageways are not too terrible. So watching the rain, I mentioned Florida, northern Bahamas were in between. Not to say we can't catch a shower, but more of the moisture is back to the west or back to the south. Really southern Bahamas near the Turks and Caicos, that's where the rain chance is higher. That tropical wave to the south, that front to the north. Here's that deep tropical moisture moving in the next 3 days. Cayman Islands, rain chance going up. Jamaica, even if you don't get rain today or tomorrow, a better chance as we get into the next working week. But we could have some spots, especially around Kingston, that could be upwards of 100 millimeters of rain. We're going to get that quick runoff. The street flooding is definitely going to be a possibility, and we'll watch the rivers. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, I want to point out that that even if it's not raining where you are, if it's raining somewhere else, those rivers could really fill up and kind of rush into your direction. So please be mindful of the river crossings, even if it's not raining at your location. This is where we have some of the dust moving in. St. Kitts and Nevis, Sebastian, St. Martin, St. Bart's, Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, some of that dust around. Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, slight chance of a shower at the dust. Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, same thing. Here's that moisture moving in. We have one tropical wave that doesn't have a whole lot with it here, but another one working in. So here's Tobago. Some spots of Trinidad and Tobago, we could get over 75 millimeters of rain the next 3 days. And there's the tropical moisture. Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, as more of that moves in. Colombia, I mentioned, and the ABC Islands. We'll see as some of this lifts to the north, especially over toward Aruba. We'll see how much of this rain tries to lift in, especially early in the week. But here are those very aggressive rain totals. You can see these reds popping up. These two areas, and in that over 200 millimeters of rain. Some spots could be substantially higher, and that's why I mentioned the life-threatening flooding regardless of how those systems are classified. Southern coast of Mexico. So again, thank you for sharing that information. Scattered areas of rain, Oklahoma, back toward parts of Arkansas where you get these downpours. We could have some spots over 4 inches of some rain, and watching the showers again. New England, back through the Atlantic region of Canada. Some of those could be quite strong. New England and even the Atlantic region of Canada with some gustier winds. So Jamaica, our rain chance going higher. It's not a 100% chance, so not all of us get some rain, but I do believe as we work our way into next week at some point, you'll be getting some rain. Keep me posted, monitoring the flooding together. I'll be watching your comments. Cayman Islands, as I mentioned, that rain chance is going to be going up. Trinidad and Tobago, we're keeping the scattered areas of rain around the next few days with multiple tropical waves. Barbados, about 30% watching the dust. Running at about a 40% chance the next 2 days in St. Lucia. May even catch a couple showers at night. Grenada, a little bit higher with those tropical waves. We have a 50% chance in Grenada. St. Vincent the Grenadines, about a 40% chance today and a 30% chance tomorrow. Isolated in Martinique, isolated in Dominica, about a 30% chance with that dust around. Same thing in Guadeloupe, about a 30% chance over the next 2 days. Antigua and Barbuda, rain chance holding at 20%. We have that dust moving in today, lower air quality. St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, 40% chance today and a 30% chance tomorrow. Rain chance staying on the low side, Anguilla and St. Bart's. We have a 20% chance the next 3 days. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, 30% chance today in Puerto Rico and a 40% chance tomorrow and Monday. Very isolated as we work our way back through the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Bahamas, the focus, mainly southern Bahamas with that higher chance of rain. Northern Bahamas, we are drier. Turks and Caicos, things have picked up with that moisture around. Haiti and the DR, as I mentioned, that higher chance of rain. Those big tropical downpours, even I mentioned the rivers, but even some of those mudslides will be possible. Back through Belize, we're in between. Rain chance staying about 30% for us. Aruba, though, you see how it starts to go up across the ABC Islands. It is trending up. We're going to see a higher chance of rain. Aruba, about a 50% chance. Curacao and Bonaire, about a 40% chance by the time we get into Monday. Guyana, rain chance 80% today, and we're looking at an 80% chance today in Suriname and a 70% chance for tomorrow. 50 to 60% chance in Cuba, but some big downpour, especially central and our eastern sections of Cuba. Costa Rica and Panama, quite a mess. A little bit more in Costa Rica. Let me know if you're getting any of that flooding. I've been watching your rain totals. Thank you for those reports. Nicaragua, still some of us dry, but others now starting to get some of the rain. And over the next couple of days, Honduras, not a lot. We may catch some rain, but again, closer to the Pacific, we have that higher chance. Guatemala, El Salvador, high concerns for intense flooding, some life-threatening flooding. Mexico City, about a 70% chance of scattered storms. Yucatan Peninsula, Merida, Campeche, Cancun, Cozumel, 30% chance for today. Northern Colombia, a healthy 60 to 70% chance, up to an 80% chance tomorrow. In northern Venezuela and in Bermuda, at least temporarily, we're in between those fronts. Gorgeous weather back through Orlando, stray chance of a shower. Central Florida, Orlando back through Tampa, about a 20 to 30% chance. A little bit more in Miami, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers. We're going to be watching what is down to the south back toward Jamaica and Cuba to see how much of that moisture lifts up to the north, where it goes, and if it will be developing next week. Houston, some of those scattered to widespread showers around for today. So 5 tropical waves out there, flooding concerns. Jamaica, Haiti, the DR, Cuba, that area shifts toward the Gulf later next week, and the eastern Pacific, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa Rica, watching out for those big areas of rain and that tropical development. On the Atlantic side, the first name of the season will be Arthur. Thank you for being part of this community. Please keep me posted as the pattern gets more active. Please be safe around those rivers. I'll be monitoring that as we go forward. Have a good Saturday ahead.